Ladies and gentlemen, friends, dreamers, today, I want to talk about a harsh truth. 99.9% of people have no future. Yes. It sounds cruel. It sounds, but I say it because I care. I say it because I want you to wake up, not to depress you, but to wake up the fighter inside you. Most people never reach their potential, not because they are not smart, not because they are not talented, but because they are afraid to start, afraid to look foolish, afraid to fail. They spend years thinking, analyzing, planning, and dreaming. But they never move. They want to be successful, but they don't want to be uncomfortable. They want results, but they don't want to take risks. That's why 9.9% of people have no future, not because they don't deserve one, but because they don't fight for one. Fear is a habit. Once you give in to it, it becomes your boss. It tells you, wait for the right time. It tells you, you're not ready. It tells you, you're too young or too old. And so people wait. They wait for the perfect conditions, which never come. They wait for motivation, which fades. They wait for someone to believe in them instead of believing in themselves. And while they're waiting, someone else is out there doing it. Someone with fewer resources, less knowledge, and more problems, but more courage. I've seen so many people with potential waste, years stuck in the same place. They say, I have a great idea, but that idea sits in their mind for 5 years. They say, one day I'll start, but they never do. They compare themselves to others and think they are lucky. No, they are not lucky. They just did what most people were too scared to do. They took the first step. And that's the difference between the people who move forward and the people who stay behind. Blame is another reason why most people have no future. People blame their family, their boss, their government, their education. But blaming does not change anything. You can spend 10 years blaming, and your life will still be the same. Or you can spend 1 year building, learning, and failing, and your life will start to change. Life is unfair. That's a fact. But if you accept that and still choose to act, you gain power. The people who change their future are not the ones who wait for justice. They are the ones who create opportunity in the middle of struggle. Then there's comfort. Comfort. Comfort is the slow killer of dreams. Most people choose comfort over growth. They want the safe job, the stable routine, the predictable path. But comfort doesn't lead to greatness. Growth only happens when you are uncomfortable. When you are learning something new. Facing rejection, dealing with uncertainty. That's where real life is. If you are always comfortable, you are not growing. And if you are not growing, your future is shrinking. So when I say 9.9% of people have no future, I don't mean they can't have one. I mean, they won't have one. Unless they change. Unless they wake up. Unless they realize that fear, excuses, blame, and comfort are not their friends. They are the silent enemies of progress. The good news is that anyone can change. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be rich. You don't need connections. You just need to do what most people are too afraid to do. Take the first step. Make the first move. Start now. Not next month, not next year. Now, your future doesn't wait. And no one will build it for you. Either you take control or you stay where you are. That's the truth. And sometimes truth is what we need most. The world doesn't reward those who think the most. It rewards those who do the most. Every day, millions of people have ideas. Good ideas. Some even brilliant. But ideas are useless without action. An idea in your head is nothing until it becomes something you act on. The difference between the 0.1% who succeed and the 99% who don't is very simple. They act. They move. They try. They don't wait for everything to be perfect before they begin. They begin and figure it out along the way. People love to talk. They say, I want to start a business. I'm planning something big. I'll change my life this year. And then, nothing. Months go by. Years pass. Still nothing. Because saying is easy. Doing is hard. Talking makes you feel like you're making progress. Action is where you face risk, uncertainty, and rejection. But only action brings results. You can't think your way into a better life. You have to move your way into it. Action is not about being reckless. It's about refusing to let fear freeze you. The people who win are not the ones who wait for confidence before starting. They start without it. They start afraid. They start with doubt. But the act of doing builds their belief. You don't become confident before you start. You become confident because you start. And most people don't understand this. They sit and wait for courage to show up. But courage shows up when you move. The 0.1% are not superhuman. They just keep showing up. Even when things go wrong. Even when they get rejected. Even when it doesn't work. The first 10 times, they keep showing up. They understand something simple. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every success story is built on thousands of little failures. But those failures only come if you're in the game. If you're sitting on the sidelines, trying to be perfect, there's nothing to fail at and nothing to win. Don't worry about doing it wrong. Worry about doing nothing. If you wait until everything is clear, you'll never start, because the path only becomes visible after you walk it. You learn more about it. You learn more by doing one thing than by thinking about it for 10 years. Knowledge is everywhere now. You can learn anything in minutes. But action, consistent action, is still rare. That's why it's so powerful. Stop comparing yourself to those ahead of you. They're not ahead because they're better. They're ahead because they started earlier. They took more shots. They made more mistakes. And now they're reaping the result years of doing what others were only talking about. You can catch up, but not by watching, only by doing. People often ask, what if I fail? I ask them, what if you don't even try? Failure is temporary. Regret is permanent. At least if you try and fail, you learn, you grow, adapt, and you get stronger. But if you never try, you lose before the game even begins. You don't need to win every time. You just need to keep playing. That's what separates those who build the future from those who stay stuck in the past. So, take the first step. It doesn't have to be big, but it has to be real. One action today is worth more than 1,000 plans for tomorrow. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs more doors. Be one of them. Not next year. Not next week. Now, excuses are the most common currency among people who never grow. They are cheap, easy to find, and they multiply quickly. You hear them everywhere. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I don't have enough money. I wasn't born in the right place. The truth is, if you look for excuses, you'll always find one. But if you really want something, you find a way. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not talent. It's mindset. One group is focused on reasons to move forward. The other is focused on reasons to stay where they are. Most people build their life around excuses and then wonder why nothing changes. They say they want success, but their actions say they want comfort. And so they protect their excuses like treasure. I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't get support. I failed before. Yes, maybe that's all true. But what now? How long you let your past control your future? How long will you let your circumstances define your limit? There's no perfect moment to start anything. Waiting for it is just another excuse dressed up as strategy. You think someone who built a company or mastered a skill had everything figured out from day one. No. They started messy. They started confused. They started scared. But they started. And by starting, they got better. You don't need to have all the answers to begin. You only need the courage to stop hiding behind your reasons. When you say, I don't have time, think again. You have time to scroll your phone, time to binge watch, time to go sip, time to sleep more than you need. The problem isn't lack of time. It's lack of priority. If something matters to you, you make time. Period. Every day, 24 hours are given to you. What you do with them decides your future. When people say, I don't have money, they're usually using it to avoid risk. They say it before they even try. Yes, money matters, but you can start learning with $0. You can build skills for free. You can start a small side hustle. You can make connections. You can do research. The one thing you absolutely cannot afford to do is wait until you're fully ready. Because by the time you're ready, the opportunity will be gone. One of the worst excuses is, it's too late for me. People say this at 30, 40, even 25. It's a lie. If you're alive, it's not too late. What's really happening is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting over. But fear will always be there. You just have to decide to move anyway. Life doesn't care about your excuses. It only rewards your efforts. Excuses are comforting because they make you feel like it's not your fault. They protect your ego. But while you protect your ego, you sacrifice your progress. You can't have both. Either you protect your pride or you build your life. You can't do both at the same time. Every time you make an excuse, Ed, you reinforce a wall around your future. And every time you take action, even a small one, you break a piece of that wall. That's how change happens. Not all at once, but one decision at a time, one action at a time, one brave moment at a time. The people who grow, who win, who evolve, they face the same fears. They have the same doubts. But they choose responsibility over excuse. They say, I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out. That's the mindset that builds a future. So stop explaining your limits. Start expanding them. Your future is not waiting for your excuses. It's waiting for your action. And the moment you stop defending your weakness is the moment you stop discovering your strength. Success is not built in a day. It is built every day. Most people believe that one big moment will change their lives. A big opportunity, a big idea, or one lucky break. But that is not how success works. Success is the result of small, simple habits repeated daily, consistently, even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping. That's the secret most people ignore. They are waiting for the elevator to success. But the truth is, there is no elevator. There are only stairs. And you climb them one step at a time. The people who grow, who build real futures, understand the power of small actions. They don't try to change everything in one day. They focus on becoming just one better each day. That doesn't sound impressive, but it's powerful. Because 1% better every day turns into massive improvement over time. It compounds. It multiplies, but only if you are consistent. That's the word that separates dreamers from Dorset. Consistency. It's easy to be motivated for one day. Anyone can work hard when they feel excited. But what do you do when you don't feel like it? What do you do when it's boring? When no one is cheering you on? That's where most people give up. They say, it's not working. And they stop. But the truth is, it was working. It was just too early to see results. Success is invisible at first. That's why discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Think about it. Reading 10 pages of a book each day doesn't feel like much. But in a year, you've read several books. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes a day doesn't feel impressive. But in a year, you've mastered something most people quit. Waking up an hour earlier might not seem life-changing, but it gives you 365 extra hours in a year. That's the power of small, repeated actions. Another thing the successful do is get comfortable with discomfort. Growth never happens in comfort. Every time you do something uncomfortable, like learning a new skill, asking a question, speaking in front of others, you grow. And the more you stretch yourself, the more capable you become. The problem is most people run from discomfort. They look for the easy path. But the easy path rarely leads to anywhere worth going. There's also something powerful about doing something. Difficult when no one is watching. Waking up early when no one is checking. Studying when no one is grading you. Working when no one is clapping. That's where character is built. That's where real transformation happens. And that's why so people make it. Because they only work hard when someone else is pushing them. But the real winners push themselves. Consistency is also about building the right habits, not just working hard. It's about smart with your time and energy. If you're always busy but not making progress, you're not being consistent. You're being distracted. Focus on what matters. Learn, practice, reflect, and repeat. Success is boring. It's not fireworks every day. It's not magic. It's repetition. It's doing the right things again and again until they become part of who you are. If you want a better future, don't look for a miracle. Build a system. Build a system. Build a routine. Create small habits that align with the life you want. Then stick to them, even when it's hard, even when it's slow. Because every great success story is a story of consistency. Not in months. In years. You don't need to take giant leaps. You just need to take small steps every single day. That's the path. That's the truth. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner your future starts to change. Many people think their background decides their future. They think success belongs to those born in big cities, in rich families with strong education or powerful connections. That belief is wrong. Your background might explain where you start, but it cannot decide where you finish. What truly shapes your future is not your age, not your degree, not your past. It is your mindset. It is what you choose to believe and how you choose to act. There are people who grew up poor, without any support, who still built something meaningful. There are people who didn't speak English well, who failed exams, who got rejected again and again. But they kept going. They succeeded not because life gave them perfect conditions, but because they refused to let their conditions define them. They focused on what they could control, their thinking, their habits, their attitude. That's what creates opportunity, not privilege. Age is another excuse people use to stop themselves. Some say, I'm too young. Others say, I'm too old. But success doesn't check your age before it rewards you. If you're young, you have time. You can afford to fail, learn, and try again. If you're older, you have experience, wisdom, and patience that younger people don't. There's power in every stage of life, if you choose to see it that way. But most people don't look for their power. They look for their limitations. They say, I didn't go to a good school, and they stop there. They say, I've already made too many mistakes, and they stop trying. What they don't realize is that the people they admire made mistakes too. They failed. They got rejected. But they didn't quit. They learned. They adapted. They kept moving. And that's why they got ahead. The problem is not your background. The problem is your belief in what is possible for you. If you believe that you are limited, you will act limited. Don't worry about it. If you believe that you are capable, you will start doing things that prove it. What you believe becomes what you build. That is the simple but powerful truth. Mindset is everything. A poor person with a growth mindset is more powerful than a rich person with a fixed one. Because the poor person keeps learning, trying, improving. The rich person who thinks they know everything stops growing. Life rewards the one who keeps going, not the one who starts with more. Skills can be learned. Money can be earned. Connections can be built. But mindset must be chosen. No one can give it to you. No one can install belief in you. You have to decide every single day to think stronger, to act braver, to stop blaming your past and start building your future. That's the work that changes lives. Don't worry about it. Never let your environment shrink your dreams. Some people grow up in places where no one believes in them. That doesn't mean they should stop believing in themselves. In fact, when no one believes in you about it, that's when you must believe the most. You must become your own motivation, your own fire. Because when you prove to yourself what you can do, the world has no choice but to notice. You are not a prisoner of your background. You are the author of your future. Your story doesn't end where you started. It begins there. And How far you go depends on what's in your mind, not what's in your past. If you want to change your life, start by changing your mindset. That's the key. Not your age, not your history, not your resume, just your mindset. And once that changes, everything else will. Every day, people wake up and hope something will change. They wait for a miracle, for luck, for someone to knock on their door and offer them a better life. But life doesn't work like that. The truth is simple and sharp. Your future is not a gift. Your future is a choice. And the moment you realize this, everything in your life starts to shift.